Yo, what's going on, everyone? We're back with another video. Super hyped on this one, the long-awaited AI voice agents tutorial using Make, obviously, and Bland AI. Now there's two platforms that are kind of like recommended and talked about the most. That's Bland AI and Vappy. Haven't used Vappy, just use Bland for now, but I'm slowly transitioning to Vappy, so I will start to make a few tutorials on that coming soon, but for now we're just going to focus on Bland. Now, what are AI voice agents? Well, if you haven't heard about them, they are one of the few assets that are really going to take over like every industry. I mean, obviously AI is going to like shape everything and is shaping everything as we know it moving forward, but voice agents are something that you can really just like copy and paste and use in essentially every industry, and they'll have an immediate impact right away. So you can think of them as conversational agents that understand natural language, so you can like talk to them, reason with them, and they'll respond with some sort of cloned voice, right? You also have the option to clone your own voice, or if you're setting these up for a business like I've been, you can clone somebody who works at the business's voice, the person who normally does the calls, or if it's more of like a local brick and mortar business, maybe the person who interacts with the community and who the community knows and trusts, you can clone their voice and use that in the system. They're very customizable. You can input prompts, get them to act a certain way, and as I said, they will most definitely shake up like every industry within the coming years. So if you can wrap your head around it now, you'll definitely be ahead. You'll be miles ahead. So let's jump into the tutorial. Cool. So this is going to be the blueprint of what we're actually going to be building today. I want to show you these first, and I want to start showing you the actual scenario built out on the front end of the video. So if you're like, I don't even want this, or I don't want to build this, or I don't want to follow along, or I don't want to learn anything today, then that's fine. You can just click off because all of our time is super valuable, right? So this is part 1 of 2 of the complete system. It's a 2-part build. So this is going to be our caller system. So we have an Airtable module that's going to search our lead list, which is right here, names, pull the numbers that Bland needs to call. Then we're going to make a request to Bland's API and actually send the call. We're going to sleep while this call is being performed and completed, so that we don't double up on calls and exceed our rate limit. And then once the first call has been finished, in this case to Mike Wazowski, then we're going to use the repeater module to run it back and call the next person on the list, which would be Rafa Nadal. So that's how that part works. Part 2 of the system, we use the webhook. We grab the transcript of the call we just made. Then we're going to collect the email, the name, and then we're gonna, or no, sorry, what is this one? This is the, oh, sorry. So this is the sentiment. So this is a positive or negative call. How did it go? Then this one is gonna output the person's name that we called. And then if the call went to shit, we're gonna update the Airtable record with the little went to shit note. So like, hey, maybe follow up with this person in a few days. They're kind of mad right now. Then if the call went well, we're gonna get the email, update the record, and be like, hey, follow up with this person right away. Or if they want to book a call, in this case, this is the example we're using for the scenario, we're going to send them an email being like, hey, here's your Calendly link. Do you want to book a call? Again, we're kind of doing it in the agency coaching space right now. Hence, do you want to book a call, Calendly call? But this can be applied to anything. So that's what we're getting into. Just wanted to show you that off rip. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Now let's jump into the actual build. Okay, so I was just recording for like, how long? 4 minutes, and my screen capture was frozen. Fuck, but that's fine. I'm just gonna cut this up. So we're gonna just restart here. I'm gonna go back and explain to you just what I did in the past steps. So I showed you the lead list. I think I can just put that part in. But what we did in Make is we did an Airtable search records module as our first module. I just picked my base, my table, my view, which is grid view by default. That's the one you're 99% of the time going to want to pick. And then for the output fields, the fields that this module is going to retrieve from Airtable, all I did is first, last, and phone number, because that's really all we need, right? Again, that's situation specific, but in this case, that's all we'll need. Formula, we can leave blank. We don't need to specify a complex formula at all. And then what I was saying for the limit is that in this example, since we only have 3 records here, just because it's a test scenario, we don't want to put 2 in our limit because then we'll only get Mike and Rafa. So the best practice for this is to just put a number equal to or higher than the amount of records you have or want to pull. But I would recommend higher, because even if I put 100 here, it's not going to fabricate 97 fake records. It's only going to give us 3 records, right? Because that's all we have in our table. So I would just put the limit like a decent bit higher than the amount of records that you have in there, just so the scenario pulls all the records and it will call everyone sequentially. And you'll see in a second what I mean. So now we're going to move on. Next module, I'll just delete this for now, show you, click on this little guy, next module, boom, HTTP. I know, the HTTP module can always be scary. We're dealing with more data here and a little bit more syntax, but don't worry, I'll walk you through it step by step. It's not as scary as you might think. So we're going to just click on like the basic make a request module in the HTTP section. Now, this is the part where we need to move on over to the Bland developer portal right here. So I've already made an account with Bland. You just got Bland AI, probably click the first option, probably going to pop up first on Google. Click it, make an account. You get $2 of free credits down here, you can see, and that's all we'll need to test this. I believe they bill 9 cents a minute, so super reasonable. So we'll make use of that $2 for sure. But this is the page that you're going to see right when you log in. Now, we have a lot of great options here. Send a phone call. There's a visual editor for people that don't even want to use Make and just want to send phone calls from here. That's perfectly fine. So from this homepage, we're going to go onto the sidebar and we're just going to go to send call, right? So then we're going to be greeted with this page here. Now we have our prompt, phone number here. We have language. We can pick a voice from here. Temperature for the model. We have all these things that we can control and manipulate within the settings. The transfer lists, you can actually give your agent a phone number that when it detects the user wants to transfer, or maybe you can just be transparent, say, I'm a bot. If you want to talk to a real person, let me know. And then the bot will actually transfer you to the real phone number. That's an extremely useful feature. And again, you can wait for a greeting, waiting for the person you're calling to actually say something, block interruptions. The bot will just be a dick and like talk through everything. And the max duration of the call right here, we'll just set it to like 2 minutes for testing. But anyway, yeah, all these things in here, extremely useful. So then if you'll notice on the right-hand side, we have this JavaScript object right here. We're going to change it to curl. I find it a little bit easier to work with. And we have all the data we need, which I'll show you in 1 second. And it's a little easier to actually read in plain English, plain language, and especially for non-technical people. Curl is, I find. So if we go to phone number and we do, you can see when we update stuff on the left-hand side here, it will actually update on the right as well. So you can see the phone number updated within our data right here, which is great. Now for the prompt, I'm going to just type, just for testing purposes. Actually, you know what? We're not going to do a prompt yet. We're going to save that. Now for the temperature of the model, lower temperatures are more specific and more to the point. Higher temperatures are more creative. We'll just do 0.4 for now. It doesn't really matter. We're not going to add a transfer number. We're not going to do any of this stuff. And we will add a webhook, but we'll come back to that. We've done 2 minutes for the duration. Custom deployment. Yeah, we don't have to worry about that. And okay, cool. Well, we have the code. We filled it out. So for the URL, we're going to ping. You can see right up top here, we have our post. So we know that it's a post request. So it's on get. We're going to change it to post. And then the URL we're going to call is right here. This api.bland.ai v1 calls. So we're going to grab that, toss it right into our scenario. Boom. Now for the headers, again, this is why curl's fantastic, because we have our headers right here. As you can see, they are designated by the little h. So our header is content type. So this will be one of our headers right here. Content type is the name. And the value is going to be this right here. Copy and paste, boom. Now we are going to add another header because Bland is telling us we need to. There's another header. It's the authorization. Boom. And then the value is going to be your API key. And this will auto update with your API key when you make an account. So you're just going to want to copy and paste that into the value there. We don't need to add any more headers, which is great. So now we're going to move on to the actual data. Perfect. So now for the body type, we are just going to do a raw body type, and the content type is going to be JSON application/JSON right here. Now for the request content, all we're going to do is just copy and paste this entire object into make. Super simple, right? So let's grab the object, which is just going to be this entire thing right here. Zoom out a bit. So it's just going to be this entire thing, boom, all the way down to here. Grab this and just toss it right in. Amazing. There we go. We have our phone number filled in. That's good. Model enhanced. And then that's great. So now let's move on to the task, which is our prompt essentially. So this, again, will be specific to each industry and whatever you want the bot to accomplish. You should take time and prompt it in the best capacity that you have, make it really good, dial it in. And again, this takes iterations. In these videos, I always just toss in a really simple prompt for testing, but this is something that you will want to take time on yourself to really dial it in. So the prompt for this video is going to be say hi to the person you are talking to. Why did that go caps? I swear I just have like strokes when I make videos and I can't type. It's actually absurd. Say hi to the person you were talking to. And then in brackets, we're going to put first, which is our variable that we pulled from Airtable. So it has context on like who it's actually talking to, and it'll be personalized because it'll say their first name. So say hi to the person you're talking to. And then we'll go wait for response. And say lol and hang up. Cool. So that's our prompt. That's all we're going to do. Max duration, 2 minutes. Perfect. There is a Calendly object down here that you can add stuff to if you want, your Calendly URL. And then you can actually use the Calendly API or in Make the Calendly module to like schedule a call. We're not going to do that, but I'll show you kind of a simpler version. Again, this video is meant to be kind of catered to like an intro to Bland and a more simple approach, and we don't want to overcomplicate things. So that's going to be a little outside of the scope for the video, but there is that option, which is pretty cool. So that's it. Like that's all of our request content. That's all we're going to do. Values, headers, our body type raw, content type is JSON, and then that's our request content. And we're going to parse the response. We'll definitely want to do that. So something I forgot to mention is that with our phone number here, we're actually just going to want to use the variable down here. However, in Bland, the phone number has to be a string. That's how they interpret phone numbers, and that's how they can identify that it's a real phone number. So we're going to want to move over to this A right here. So we're going to use the toString function right here. Boom. So this will do exactly what it said. It converts any value to a string so that Bland can understand what we actually want. And then we'll drop the phone number right in there. So that's one thing that I forgot to mention. So now that we have that, perfect. We can run this scenario. Let's see what happens here. So we did get 3 operations back that are here. Is JSON, which is perfect. And as you can see, I'm getting a call right now. It says likely spam.
Hi, Rafa.
Hey.
LOL.
Perfect. So it made the call. That's how we know we set up our HTTP module correctly. It prompted. Okay, I'm getting another call because it returned 3 records from here. So that's the only reason why, because we set this to 3 or to 10, but it pulled all 3, right? So that is the first step of it. Boom. So we have the correct endpoint and that's working well. Let's move on to the next step, which is where we add in a sleep. Beautiful. So the sleep, the function of this is that it's just going to delay the scenario for the amount of time that we specify. So in this case, I'll do like 20 seconds. Again, it says down here you can do a number between 1 and 300. So if you imagine the calls are going to take a really long time, maybe I'd do like 120, like 2 minutes, something like that. But this is going to help because if we just make continuous calls to their API, especially if you have a massive lead list, this could cause some rate limiting issues and they might not like that, and that could stop your scenario. So the sleep module in production is always a good thing to toss in there. Now we have the sleep, really easy. Now we're just going to use a repeater to run the scenario back. Again, it repeats as many times as we want. So let's do, 3, right? Which is exactly what we have here. However, what we can also do to make it repeat the exact amount of times that we need for how many bundles we got from our Airtable, we can just click this variable right here, total number of bundles, which is equal to 3, which as we know is exactly how many records we have. So that's great. Boom, 3 right there. And that's it. We're done. Like, that's how easy it is to set up a call system. So the reason I use the send call part in Bland system right here, this little prompt, is that this little like component of their website is what I meant to say, I think it's just a lot simpler for a beginner to wrap their head around. Again, if you do want to jump into this and get more complex, you will want to reference their V1 API guide right here. You have a lot more options: call details, audio recordings, get corrected transcripts. You can create a vector store, which is super, super, super cool. And you have just a lot more endpoints that you can call here. But for our basic version we're building right now, this is really all the data we need. And you can honestly get pretty complex with these settings. So that's the reason that we're just going to operate out of this page for now. So now that we have our first scenario done and it's working correctly how we want, we're going to go back again. We're going to create a new scenario. So this is going to be part 2. Bland YouTube part 2. This is where we actually do the webhook, right? So we have our webhook here, custom webhook. I'm going to add another one right here, and we're going to call it Bland Test. Yes. Shit. Bland Test YouTube vid. Cool, no IP restrictions. So now we have our webhook here. We're going to copy this address to clipboard, and we're going to go back to our developer portal right here. And we are going to copy and paste our webhook URL right in here, right? I told you we'd use it, and we're using it. So what this does is exactly what it says right here. When the call ends, we'll send the call details in a post request to the URL you specify here. So this is so useful because we'll be able to analyze the transcript that we receive. This is just the built out scenario that I showed you in the beginning. We'll be able to analyze the completed transcript that we received right away as the call is done. So these scenarios will run one after another, and it'll be this really nice synergy that they've got going on, and it'll work perfectly. We have this. Now let's test the webhook. What do you mean? Okay, run. Now it's waiting for data. If we go back to Bland and we click test webhook, we should get a little 1 right there, meaning that it was a good operation. They have this, I don't know why this is their like dummy data that they use. Hey, is this Bob's Donuts? They use this for all of them, but we got a 1 and it was a positive request. So that's great. Our webhook is working correctly and it can talk to Bland. So next module we're going to want to toss in here is going to be an OpenAI completion. So this one right here is going to be our sentiment analysis. So essentially with our transcript that we receive in this from our webhook, we need to figure out if the call went well or didn't go well. So this is going to use a sentiment analysis prompt. Well, I mean, a pretty shit one, but it'll still do the job to determine if the call A went well and that we should follow up with them, or yes, they want their oil changed, or whatever. They're agreeing to what we specify on the call and they want to move forward. Or B, the call just completely went to shit and they're like, stop talking to me, who is this, and hang up. Then it'll detect that in the transcript and we will take another path in this flow and put them on a different list, because I don't think they'll be too happy if they hang up the phone and then they get an email from us right away saying, thanks for talking to us. We're just going to annoy them more. So that is the reason why we have this module in here. We're going to use 315 Turbo, 1106 tokens. We can just leave this blank, put it to 0. So 0 means that it will just use the however many tokens it needs to use. There won't be a hard limit on it. We're just going to do a user prompt for this one. Keep it really simple. And the content is going to be from here. I always like to copy and paste. It's always just easier. So then we'll walk through the prompt. So your only job is to output the sentiment of a call that took place. Here is the call transcript for you to analyze. And again, we're going to want to delete this and put in our transcript that we have like from our actual webhook. So we can literally just put the text right there. If the user wants to book a call and they seem keen and positive, output the word book. Only that word, nothing else. If the user does not want to book a call and the sentiment is negative, output the word fail. Only that one word, nothing else. So this will do its job perfectly. Well, it should, hopefully, and it will test that out for us. So boom, OpenAI, another one. Now this next module is going to be the exact same thing, 315 Turbo 1106, and we're going to put the tokens at 0 again. User role. Now this one is, what did this one do again? Wait, hold on. This one, right. Okay, so we need to figure out the name of the person being called. Now, the reason we want to figure out the name of the person being called is because we are going to use that to update our Airtable later on. Now, there's a way to do that in Airtable, but I think it's kind of cool to actually use GPT to like do these tasks for us. So next, we're going to do a router. I'm just kind of trying to fly through this at this point because it started 25 minutes and I just talked for way too long. I'm working on it. Trust me, I'm working on it. So if the call went well, this will be our went well. We can create a record in our new Airtable, this one right here, our follow-ups. We're going to create a new record base. I keep sliding down in my chair. What am I doing? Dude, I'm falling apart here. I'm falling apart as you guys watch this video. We're going to do our follow-ups. Name is going to be from this, right? This. Yeah. Pull the name of the person. You should always name these, by the way. It just makes it so much easier if you have a massive flow. Pull name of person. So look how much nicer that is. So the name is going to be the result from that module, the pull name of person module. The notes are going to be the sentiment of this, or sorry, we can actually just hard code this in. So like, call went well, follow up. And the reason we can hard code and the reason we can hard code this is because okay, we don't need any of these. And the reason we can hard code this is because this will always be a positive sentiment and this bottom path will always be a negative one. So there's only ever two answers that are correct in this case, yes or no, positive or negative. So from Airtable, we can do, so we've already created the record. We've created it with the person's name, who we've called, and the follow-up, yes or no. Now, from here, what we can do is we can just send them an email. You can use this email, send an email. Now, the flow was longer up here because we needed to grab their email. Okay, cool. So we can add a module here. It's going to be another GPT module. going to be another completion right here. And literally just the same 1106 system message user grab the user's email from this transcript, and we give them the transcript. Only upload their email, nothing else. Max tokens, 0. Cool. So this is going to be grab email. Rename this to grab email. And then the email, we're not going to use Google restricted. We're going to use this connection down here to result of this, which is going to be their email. Then, but we'll just hardcode this to my email for now. Content type HTML, and the subject, thanks for chatting today. And then the content of this is just going to be what, like, oh, I can just pull it from this one. So again, since we have HTML, we can use HTML tags. So P is a paragraph tag right here. Now let's just do this, boom. So P, paragraph, it was a pleasure talking to you today. Let's update the first name to our first name in the flow so that we can actually, our system will understand what that is. Again, pull name of person, so we're referencing, module 3. And where's module 3? Right here, the result of this. We are so excited for the next steps in supercharging your business. Here's the meeting booking link. Now this href tag is essentially what HTML verifies as a link. So that's just to my Calendly, and the text that will be set as a link will be book a call with Proxy. And that's it. There we go. Boom. So now let's set up a filter, label, call it to shit, condition, if the sentiment, which is our first GPT module, which is number 2, GPT-2, if the result of this is equal to the word fail, because remember, we said output the word fail, only that one word, if it didn't go good. So this will catch this. We can do this again. We can create a new record in our Airtable. Base, lead list. Dude, how is this video 30 minutes already? Table, follow-ups, and then the name of the person is going to be the name of the person right here. Notes, call went to shoot, follow up. Perfect. Incredible. So we'll save this scenario. This is all done, looking good. Now let's go back to our initial, actually I need to open 2 right here. Test it out. Let's change the prompt though. Say the person you are talking to, first name, wait for the response, and then instead of saying lol and hanging up, wait for the response and then ask them if they want to book a call with Proxy AI to supercharge their business with AI and stop living under a rock. Perfect. Okay, now we have that. Let's save this. Oh, that is not the save button. Let's stop that. Save it. Always save your scenario. And then let's just do, actually we can do 3. Dude, I'm getting calls every day from this AI. They just love calling me. Okay, we'll actually do 10. Okay, I lied. We'll do 10. So, okay, I was just requested to stop. That's why that failed. Okay. So now let's hit run and let's see what we do here. So it's sleeping. You can see the sleep module is working correctly. Getting a call.
Hi, Mike. This is Proxy AI. I was wondering if you'd be interested in booking a call to discuss how our AI solutions could help supercharge your business with AI.
I don't want to do that. I'm okay, thank you.
No problem. Have a great rest of...
Okay, so that was hectic and all over the place, but that's because I set the delay to only 20 seconds when it should have been maybe 120 or like longer, right? To give it like loads of time in between scenario runs. But you get the idea, right? So I got 3 calls there from Bland. Each one of them referenced my correct first name in this list. And now 2 of them I said yes to. The first 2 I was like, let's book a call. And then the last one I was like, no, don't book me in. So, oh dude, we didn't run our, oh my God. Okay, we have to do that again. I have to run this. Okay, make sure to run your webhook scenario so it can wait for data. So run this, okay? Now let's recall. Let's do this again. Let's change this actually to 40 and let's try again. Need to troubleshoot. I don't know why this webhook isn't working. It's really annoying. So, because if we run this and we go to Bland and we click test webhook, we get a piece of data. So you can see that it just worked. Like it just went through. It just went through correctly. And I just got an email from, yeah, it was a pleasure talking to you today, Rob. Here is your meeting booking link. Book a call with Proxy. So this works, but we're not getting data to our webhook. I'm not 100% sure why that is. Maybe it's because on my initial setup right here, I have the same API key used and a different webhook, but the same API key. That could be causing some issues. I'm not 100% sure. All right, so I found the issue, and all it is that I've created a new webhook here, and since I added it to my developer portal, it's just unsure which webhook to send data to. So it's actually sending data to my first build of this scenario. So that's okay. But when you build this and you only have one webhook that has access to Bland, this should work perfectly fine and you won't run into this issue. So that's going to be the build. As you can see, it's a system that's very transferable to all kinds of industries. And it's something that, as I said, if you understand now, yeah, you'll be miles ahead of everyone. So system's pretty cool. You can customize the prompt however you want. Again, hopefully at least semi-educational, and hopefully you learned a thing or two about maybe using APIs and also just talking to Bland in general, because its platform's super sick and I have been using it a little bit for Proxy. I've been having some fun just working with their API in general, and I think this video will be a decent introduction to how to operate their API. Okay, cheers guys. As always, leave some questions in the comments, subscribe. What do YouTube people say again? I think they say all those things. Cheers guys, we'll see you in the next one.